Simplifying rational expressions. Now this is what we have been building towards with doing the Gcf factoring and the trinomial factoring. Alright, so simplify and state the excluded values. So we have 10, x plus 3, and then 5, and then parentheses x minus 2. We can simplify the 10 and 5, so 10 divided by 5 is 2. So now we have 2x plus 3 over x minus 2. The x plus 3 and the x minus 2 can't cancel out. They are not the same, so there's nothing I can do there. The last thing I need to do is state the excluded value. The excluded value is the value for x that would make the denominator be a 0. So in this particular problem, x cannot equal positive 2. And that's because if I were to plug it in, like so, for x, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 2 take away 2 is 0. And if you go to your calculator and do 10 divided by 0, you're going to get error in your calculator. And that's because you can't divide a number by 0. Therefore, this would be our answer with our excluded value. Now, right here, before we start doing any simplifying, we have the x plus 4 on top, an x plus 4 on the bottom, and an x minus 3 on the bottom. I would suggest we state our excluded values first before we do any simplifying. So we just look at the bottom, we have an x plus 4. That means an excluded value would be x cannot equal negative 4. And the other one would be x cannot equal positive 3. Basically, you'll notice that when it comes to these types of factors, it's always the number that's opposite of what you see. Now that we stated our excluded values, now's a good time to simplify. The x plus 4 can cancel out since one's in the numerator and one's in the denominator. They just cancel each other out. So we'll have a 1 left on top because there's nothing else up there. This x minus 3 was in the denominator and it has to stay in the denominator. That's another reason why we need to make sure we put a 1 on top to keep that x minus 3 in the denominator. And now we have our simplified answer with our excluded values. Same thing's going to happen over here for the third problem. Let's start off with our excluded values. We have an x plus 1, so therefore an x cannot equal negative 1. And so therefore, now we can start simplifying. You can see the x plus 1s could cancel out. One's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. They can cancel. 8 divided by 2, those can cancel, become a 4. So I'm left with 4 parentheses x plus 2. There is no more denominator in this problem. Once we simplify, this is our answer. All right, in this problem, we're going to combine the factoring we did the past 2 days and the problems we just did above. This is not factored yet, so we're going to do some factoring and then we can do the simplifying part. In the numerator, we have x minus 5. You can't make that any simpler. That is what it is. But on the bottom, you have a 6x minus 30. Since you have a number in front of x, there's probably a GCF here that we can do. So we're going to Gcf factor the denominator. So we have 1 times 6, 2 times 3. I'm using my strategy to do Gcf factoring. You could probably figure out what the largest value that they share in your head. But I'm just running out the different numbers that multiply to give me 30 here. Then I'm looking for the largest number that they share, which is a 6. So I know I can take a 6 out. This is 6x, this is 30. They don't share x's. So now I'll have my parentheses. Then I ask the question, what number times 6 gets me 6x? And x does. What number times 6 gets me negative 30? Negative 5. I'll write the numerator again. And now I can see an x minus 5 can cancel out because one's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. But before I do that, I want to state my excluded values. So I have an x minus 5 in parentheses, so the number that will not work is a positive 5. Once again, it's that opposite number. Then I can go ahead and do the canceling. Now since the 6 is in the denominator, it's going to stay in the denominator. That means above it will be a 1. And there's my simplified answer with its excluded value. All right, so this time we're going to be using trinomial factoring to simplify our problem. So this is the one where we have our a as the 1 in front of the x squared, our b, the number in front of x, and our c, the number without the variable. We got to ask ourselves two numbers that multiply to be a times c, and that's 1 times 4, which is 4. And those same two numbers will combine to be b, which is our 5. So that would be 1 times 4 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5. So I have x plus 1, x plus 4. Once again, don't forget to divide by your a. And so 1 divided by 1 is 1. 4 divided by 1 is 4. And so on the top, I will now have x plus 1, x plus 4. In the denominator, I'm going to have my x plus 1. Before I start doing any simplifying, I'm going to go ahead and state my excluded value. X cannot equal a negative 1, because that's the opposite of positive 1. And now I can go ahead and do my canceling. So x plus 1 will cancel the x plus 1, leaving just a x plus 4 in the numerator. So I really don't need that fraction bar anymore. So x plus 4 and x cannot equal 1. All right, last problem here. We have a binomial on the top, a binomial on the bottom. Now the binomial on top is written backwards, which means the simplified shortcut to Gcf factor that is write a negative 1 and switch the position of the two terms. On the bottom, I have a x minus 3. Before I do any simplifying, I'm going to go ahead and state my excluded value, which is positive 3. Now the x minus 3's can cancel out, leaving negative 1. So now I have my answer and the excluded value.